What makes a punishment just or right or moral or immoral for that matter? It's a very interesting question to think about. I was watching the movie Saw 10, just came out a couple of weeks ago, and this question occurred to me as I was watching the movie because when I looked at the events that were happening in the movie, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Saw trilogy, it's not a trilogy, it's a series. It's the 10th one that I just watched. I am not familiar with the other ones. I think I've seen them when they first came out. I was really young. Anyways, the main character is John Kramer. He's supposed to be a civil engineer who has a inoperable brain tumor of sorts, and he developed this game where he essentially takes people who don't have an appreciation for life and then forces them into appreciating life because he doesn't have life. We'll come back to this view that he has later on. But what I noticed is towards the end of the movie, people in the entire theater got up and started clapping, even though he's supposed to be both the antagonist and the protagonist of the movie. He's inflicting pain on people, he's torturing them essentially. And I began to think about this whole concept of punishment, or what makes a punishment just. And I think punishment is classified into multiple different categories, but then I think three come to mind. I think a punishment could be a retribution. Somebody does something bad to you, you do it bad to them to get back or to get even. And it could be a deterrent. You'll get punished if you touch the cookie jar. And the third one would be rehabilitation, which I think where John Kramer's punishments or games sort of fall into. And but what exactly makes any of those different formats or categories just or moral? Well, you could argue if you're religious that God or whatever religious scripture that you have would determine these things, but for other people it would depend, right? I wanted to sort of, as I was watching the movie, I will keep using this whole thing in the context of the movie. So, and just so that we're on the same footing, I think I need to explain what the overall plot here is. You have John Kramer, as we mentioned before. He has a brain tumor, and then he essentially gets scammed. There's a big plot, and oh yeah, spoiler alert, forgot. And he gets scammed essentially. And what happens is this lady pretends to be somebody has the cure for cancer, and the international community is just against her sort of treating people because there is money to be made from treatments. And she essentially preys on his weakness. She chose the wrong guy. So her and everyone who was involved in that whole debacle gets punished by Kramer. And he tailors each punishment to every role that each individual played. So the anesthesiologist who pretended to give him anesthesia ended up getting a punishment that sort of mimics that whole thing. The girl who pretended to be an X-ray technician ended up getting a radiation punishment done to her, and so on and so forth. So we all sort of were following the entire revenge because this felt like a retribution sort of punishment. But for John, for us as viewers, we're viewing it as a retribution, right? They did bad to him, he wants to do bad to them. But then we looked at the movie and then we noticed that he wasn't looking at it that way. He was looking at it as, no, these people made a mistake. They don't have an appreciation for human life. So I will make them learn how to appreciate human life by essentially leaving them half dead. So I noticed that towards the end of the movie, the entire theater got up and started clapping for the ending and for the fact that he essentially was able to execute his retribution, his revenge on them. But Kramer, throughout the entire time, was looking at it as a rehabilitation. He wanted to rehabilitate these people, make them learn the value of life. His methods we can discuss later on, but I knew that when I was looking into other people's views on Kramer online, a lot of people look at him as a criminal. They say he's a murderer, even if he doesn't commit the killing himself, but he gives them the means to do it. So I was like, this is very interesting. Why is that the case? And because when we were at that movie, maybe it was because of that one movie, but everyone was looking at it as if he was the innocent guy who the wrong was done onto him, and now he wants revenge. So was the punishment that he was inflicting on these people that we viewed as retribution, but he viewed as rehabilitation, was it moral? Was it just? Who determines these things? I couldn't tell you what the answer to that question is. I'm curious, what determines the morality of a punishment? Is it the crime that the person committed? Or is it the lesson you want to teach the person who committed the crime? Should we punish people for the mistakes or the crimes that they commit purely because the nature of the crime? Or should we tailor the punishment such that they don't commit that crime again? I know, at least in the USA, that we call our prison systems correctional facilities. They're supposed to be correcting that behavior and rehabilitate. But we all know that that's not how things normally turn out. But I'm curious, is that how things sort of play out? Is that how things are supposed to play out? How are we supposed to take these things? Do let me know. What do you think about that?